This is Marc Rudov, branding advisor to CEOs and author of Be Unique or Be Ignored, the CEO's Guide to Branding. I was at a happy hour the other night for a client event, and the client introduced me to one of the attendees. And the guy asked me, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a branding advisor to CEOs." And the first words out of his mouth were, "You mean like online branding?" And that made me think, this is so typical. Most people think that branding is about the megaphone. In fact, branding has two components, the message and the megaphone. And the message trumps the megaphone. It's more important. Remember my 3 R's of branding. React, remember, repeat. If they don't react to the message, if they don't remember the message, and if they don't repeat the message, then the message has no value. If they don't react to the message, they can't remember it. And if they can't remember it, they can't repeat it. That's critical. You have to get this principle. That's why the message trumps the megaphone. The message is everything. Anybody can walk up to a microphone, but if you have nothing to say, the megaphone doesn't really matter, does it? You can have something important to say and be a lousy speaker, in which case it's not going to work. You can have something unimportant to say and be a great speaker, in which case it's going to be a failure. And you can have something that's unimportant to say and be a terrible speaker, and your attempt will be a disaster. But the whole point is, the megaphone doesn't care. The megaphone is there whether you're good, whether you're bad, whether your material's good, whether your material's bad. The megaphone really doesn't matter. And when I say it doesn't matter, what I mean is relative to the message. Obviously, if you have a message with no megaphone, then of course it matters. And let me add another point here. The megaphone can be the microphone for radio or TV, for a keynote speech. The megaphone can be your brochures. It can be your homepage. And it's also your sales representatives. It can be advertising, PR. Any broadcast of your corporate message to the outside world goes through some megaphone. Social media, your channel partners, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. Message trumps megaphone. Today, we're still quoting Abraham Lincoln. And he didn't have Twitter. He didn't have radio. He didn't have TV. Yet, 150 years after he spoke them, we're still quoting his words. Because his messages were always pithy. They were unique. They were well crafted. And that's why we remember them and repeat them today. We still react, remember, repeat Abraham Lincoln's words. Message trumps megaphone. Perhaps you saw a great movie called The King's Speech, starring Colin Firth. The movie won Best Picture in 2011, and Colin Firth won Best Actor for his brilliant performance. He portrayed King George VI, who had a speech impediment. In the run-up to World War II, he had to give a speech to all of his subjects in England to rouse them, to unite them, to be behind the war effort and to stick together and to be brave. And he stepped up to the microphone and he stuttered. It was painful to watch. Take a look at this clip.
I have received from His Majesty the King
Brilliant performance, wasn't it? And it aptly makes my point, don't you think? He had a great megaphone. It was broadcast all over England, all over Europe. And yet, because he couldn't speak, he demonstrated that message trumps megaphone. And when the message is impaired, the whole operation falls down. Now, King George VI underwent a lot of therapy so that he could manage his emotions, because stuttering is an emotional problem. And he was able to manage these emotions by the end of his reign so that he could speak. But it was never easy for him. It was never natural for him. But he had to work at it. What he didn't work at was improving the megaphone, because the megaphone was fine. And that's the whole point. Unfortunately, what too many companies do is they have mediocre or weak or impotent messages. So they think, what should we do? How about overcompensating with our megaphone? Let's send more messages, louder messages, more frequently. Just think of the Geico commercials with the lizard. They make no sense. They're terrible. And yet they're on every 5 minutes. Don't copy that strategy. And if you're using a lot of industry jargon, which all of your competitors are using, then you nullify your message. You have no message. You have no brand. You're ruining your company. Don't ever use jargon. You have to be unique or you will be ignored. And if you're using jargon, you're not unique. I've said this before. I've written this before. That's why I named my book, Be Unique or Be Ignored. If you have jargon, you have no message, you have no brand. No matter the megaphone. Message trumps megaphone. Get the message right, and then the megaphone will take care of it. But if you have a lousy, weak, impotent, ridiculous message, you can't offset it by just putting it out there more frequently with more volume. Because when you put a weak or blurry message through a megaphone, you just get a louder version of it out the other side. Finally, the next time you hear the word brand or the word branding, think message. Do not think megaphone. Megaphone is important, but it's secondary. Message trumps megaphone. Now, I know you may be freaking out right now, but I can help you fix this. You have to contact me. I'm Marc Rudov, branding advisor to CEOs and author of Be Unique or Be Ignored, the CEO's Guide to Branding. Find me and all of my solutions at marcrudov.com.